Hello everyone, Sangeeta here. Let us continue with the polysaccharides. So in previous class we have discussed regarding the homopolysaccharides. So let us continue what are heteropolysaccharides and what are the classification, various examples for heteropolysaccharides, etc. So the definition of heteropolysaccharides, we know that it contains two or more different types of monosaccharide units or their derivatives. It contains more than one type of sugar unit. So many examples are there for heteropolysaccharides like agar, then agarose, gum, pectin, etc. Then another main classification of heteropolysaccharide is glycosaminoglycans and glycoproteins. Okay, so let us see one by one. The first example of heteropolysaccharide is agar. Agar actually, which is a vegetable mucilage which obtained from seaweeds, and it is present in cell walls of marine red algae which contain agar. And the composition of agar is that it is a mixture of sulfated heteropolysaccharides made up of D-galactose and L-galactose derivative, and which is usually linked between C3 and C6. The linkage between glucose and galactose usually between carbon 3 and carbon 6. And it dissolves in water at 100 degrees Celsius, and on cooling it sets to a gel. That is a main property making this agar using to prepare the cultural bacterial colonies. It cannot be digested by the bacteria. These two properties, because it can make it used for preparing gels and cannot be digested by bacteria, so that agar can be used to prepare culture media to grow bacterial colonies, and also it has some role in support medium for immunodiffusion, immunoelectrophoresis. Then it is a part of capsules used to package vitamins, drugs, soluble, etc. And it is soluble and metabolically inert. And the second classification is agarose. For heteropolysaccharide is agarose. Agarose is nothing. Agarose is a component with fewest charged groups. It is the agarose is agar component with few charged groups, sulfates or pyruvates. It consists of galactose and 3,6-anhydrogalactose. It is mainly used to prepare the gel for electrophoresis. It used as an inert support for the electrophoretic separation of nucleic acid, and also it is used for the growth of bacterial colonies, etc. So this is the first classification of heteropolysaccharide, agar and agarose. Let's move to the main classification, glycosaminoglycans. These are also heteropolysaccharide, mainly present in the extracellular matrix. They are not found in plants. Glycosaminoglycans are linear unbranched polymers of repeating disaccharide units. Not the point, repeating disaccharide units. In agarose, agar, etc., it was repeating monosaccharide units, but here it consists of unbranched polymers of repeating disaccharide units, and this is glycosaminoglycans also called mucopolysaccharide. Why? Because it is first discovered from the mucin. Let's go in detail on the structure of glycosaminoglycans. So already said they are linear and unbranched polymers composed of repeating disaccharide units. So one of the two monosaccharide repeating disaccharide of GAG is always an amino sugar. That is why the name is given as glycosaminoglycan. Then it can be, this amino sugar can be either an N-acetyl glucosamine or N-acetyl galactosamine. The other component is always uronic acid in most of the types of glycosaminoglycans, but sometimes it can be L-iduronic acid also. Iduronic acid is nothing, it is a fifth epimer of glucuronic acid. So This is the simplest representation of glycosaminoglycan, which consists of an amino sugar and uronic acid, repeating unit of disaccharide glycosaminoglycans. So this is a simplest structure of glycosaminoglycan, which consists of an acidic sugar and an acetylated amino sugar. Acidic sugar usually uronic acid or hydronic acid, and N-acetyl glucosamine or N-acetyl galactosamine will be the amino sugar, which usually linked together by C3 and C6. The glycosidic linkage is C3 and C6. And another important thing regarding the glycosaminoglycans are they are strongly negatively charged because of the presence of carboxyl groups of acidic sugar, that is uronic acid and hydronic acid, and the presence of sulfate group. Sulfate group also consists of a negatively charged group. So these sulfate group and acidic sugars which contributing for the strong negatively charging, which is the glycosaminoglycans are strongly negatively charged. These glycosaminoglycans in the body are linked to core proteins. That means the core proteins present the extracellular proteins except hyaluronic acid, and it forms proteoglycans. So core proteins are attached to the linear glycosaminoglycan. This is a linear glycosaminoglycan. They extended out from the core protein. You can see this is core protein. Then remain separated because of the repulsion, resembles like a bottle brush. So this is the structure of a proteoglycan. So what is proteoglycan? Once again, the presence of sulfated group and this carboxyl group which is present in the glycosaminoglycan, and it going and bind to the core protein present in the extracellular matrix, which specifically bind with the positively charged ions and form a hydrogen bond with the water molecule, thereby producing a gel-like matrix. And this sulfated glycosaminoglycans attached to extracellular protein and gives a specific bottle brush-like structure that is known as proteoglycans. Now, the occurrence of glycosaminoglycan. Where does the glycosaminoglycans are present? It is found in extracellular matrix of connective tissue, synovial fluid of joints, vitreous humor of eyes, arterial walls, bones, cartilages, then secretion of mucus producing cells. These are the locations where glycosaminoglycans are present. And the name has been given as mucopolysaccharides also. Why? Because it is first isolated from the mucus. Now the classification of glycosaminoglycans. So before going into the actual classification, how does the classification done? The different types of glycosaminoglycans are different from each other in the following properties. So what are the properties which makes the glycosaminoglycans different from different types are the presence of amino sugar and uronic acid composition. It can be already said, it can be repeated units of N-acetyl glucose or N-acetyl galactose, uronic acid or hydronic acid, something. The presence of different composition makes it different type. Then linkage between these, it can be C3 and C4, C3 and C6, etc. Then degree and location of sulfation. Where does the sulfate group uh, attach to the monosaccharide units? Then type of glycosidic linkage. What type of linkage is present? Then chain length of disaccharide. How many number of disaccharides are repeatedly attached? Then the nature of the core protein. To which core protein this glycosaminoglycan are getting attached? Then the tissue distribution. Where does it present? Then their biological functions. What is the actual function of that particular glycosaminoglycan? So depends on all these. These are the various properties making the glycosaminoglycans classified into various types. So the types of glycosaminoglycans, main classification is hyaluronic acid, then chondroitin sulfate, Then keratin sulfate, it can be sometimes classified into keratin sulfate 1 and keratin sulfate 2. Then dermatan sulfate, heparin and heparin sulfate. So once again the classification: hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate, dermatan sulfate, heparin and heparin sulfate. So let us go ahead with the functions of glycosaminoglycans. So it is a major structural component of extracellular matrix and act as molecular sieves in extracellular matrix. It helps for the transport of particular things. So it acts as a molecular sieves. It won't allow certain substance to enter. Then mediates cell-to-cell interaction because of the presence of specific component. It helps for the cell-to-cell interaction. Then it facilitates cell migration and act as lubricant and shock absorber in joints. Specifically, the presence of hyaluronic acid help for the lubricant action in the synovial joints. Then maintenance of compressibility of cartilage in weight-bearing bonds. And it has some structural role in sclera and in corneal transparency. Specifically, the structural role of sclera is mainly because of the presence of dermatan sulfate. Then the corneal transparency is due to the presence of keratin sulfate. And it acts as anticoagulant. Heparin, which is first isolated from the liver cells, it has some anticoagulant property. Then it determines the charge selectiveness of renal glomerulus, specifically heparin sulfate, not heparin, that is typing mistake, heparin sulfate. Then formation of cell membrane and synaptic vesicles, specifically done by this heparin sulfate. So these are the functions of glycosaminoglycans. So remember, the slippery constituency of mucus secretion and synovial fluid is because of the presence of various types of glycosaminoglycans, specifically hyaluronic acid. So these are the structure of various glycosaminoglycans. You can see hyaluronic acid. It is made up of repeated units of N-acetyl glucosamine and glucuronic acid, which is linked together by the glycosidic linkage beta 1,3. Then second, heparin sulfate. Here the disaccharide unit is, basic unit is N-sulfogalactosamine. You can see that a sulfate group is present, that is why N-sulfoglucosamine and glucuronic acid linked together by the alpha 1,4 linkage. You can note down the linkage. Here it is beta 1,3, and here it is alpha 1,4. Then chondroitin sulfate, again the disaccharide unit is glucuronic acid and N-acetyl galactosamine 6-phosphate. You can see an additional acetyl group is present in the galactose. That is why the name is given as N-acetyl galactosamine 6-phosphate. Sulfate group is also present, N-acetyl galactosamine 6-sulfate. And dermatan sulfate. Here the disaccharide unit is N-acetyl galactosamine 4-sulfate. N-acetyl galactosamine and 4-sulfate. The sulfate group is present in the C4 carbon atom. That is why the name is given as N-acetyl galactosamine 4-sulfate. And here you should note down a specific thing, that instead of glucuronic acid, that here the carboxylic acid is iduronic acid. Remember, in dermatan sulfate, except glucuronic acid, here it is iduronic acid is present, and the linkage is beta 1,3. And the keratin sulfate, the disaccharide unit is, here you can see another point, that there is no uronic acid or iduronic acid is present in keratin sulfate. It is made up of galactose and N-acetyl glucosamine 6-phosphate. N-acetyl glucosamine 6-phosphate and galactose. So this is the structural difference between all these 6 classification: hyaluronic acid, heparin sulfate, chondroitin sulfate, dermatan sulfate and keratin sulfate. So among these, you should note down the point that hyaluronic acid, heparin sulfate and chondroitin sulfate, which consist of glucuronic acid, as the common thing. Then in dermatan sulfate, it is instead of glucuronic acid, iduronic acid is present, and in keratin sulfate there is no uronic acid or iduronic acid is present. So what all we have discussed only given in this table, the individual glycosaminoglycan name and the characteristic disaccharide. Okay, this table you have to study in detail. Why? Because it gives the individual glycosaminoglycan, its composition, where does it present and functions. You can see the tissue distribution and functions also. So first of all, hyaluronic acid. So already we have discussed the structure of hyaluronic acid, which is made up of repeated disaccharide units, which is made up of glucuronic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine. And where does the hyaluronic acid is present? It is present in connective tissue, synovial fluid and vitreous humor. This is the location where does the hyaluronic acid is present. Usually it is a clear, highly viscous, non-compressible solution, and the main role of hyaluronic acid is that it serves as the lubricants in the synovial fluid of the joints. And also another important role is that it gives the vitreous humor of the eyes its jelly-like consistency, which is not written over there. You can write down that point also. The hyaluronic acid is responsible for the jelly-like consistency in the vitreous humor of the eyeballs. And it is also a component of extracellular matrix of cartilages and tendons, to which it contributes tensile strength and elasticity as a result of its strong non-covalent interaction with other component of matrix. So if you are referring the Pankaj Naik textbook, it is given in detail individual glycosaminoglycan and its functions. So all of you please go through with the textbook Pankaj Naik and read in detail about the functions. And it has some other role, like it promotes wound healing by permitting cell migration during morphogenesis and wound repair. So this is all about hyaluronic acid. Now chondroitin sulfate. So I'm not discussing in detail about the structure hereafter because already discussed. Chondroitin sulfate is present in cartilage, bone, skin, blood vessels, walls, etc. It helps to maintain the structure and shape of tissues, chondroitin sulfate. So it has important role in maintaining the structure of ECM. High amount of chondroitin sulfate is also present in central nervous system. And it has some additional role, like it has some role in signaling molecule or signaling property. Then next is heparin. Heparin, the meaning, heparin, the word is taken from Greek word hepar, that means liver. Why? Because it is originally isolated from dog liver, and it is a highly sulfated intracellular form of heparin sulfate. So heparin present in blood, lung, liver, kidney, spleen, etc. And the main role of heparin is that it acts as an anticoagulant. Why? Because it binds with the factors 10 and 11, and it inhibits the coagulation through binding the protease inhibitor plasma antitropin. And it also binds to the lipoprotein lipase present in the capillary walls and causing the release of enzyme into circulation. And also it is produced by mast cells, also in liver, lung, skin, etc. So this is all about heparin. Then comes the dermatan sulfate. Derma, we know the meaning is that skin, dermatology, derma, skin. It is again a Greek word, and the structure is almost similar to the chondroitin sulfate. It is present in blood vessels, blood walls, then heart walls, skin, etc. It mainly helps to maintain the shape of the tissues where it is located. Remember, important point of dermatan sulfate is that it consists of hyaluronic acid. It is mainly contributing to the softness and elasticity of the skin, and also present in blood vessels and giving the structural or it's contributing to the specific structure of the blood vessels, heart walls, skin, etc. And it has some role in blood coagulation, wound repair and resistance also, and it mainly helps for the resistance to infection. Then keratin sulfate. Keratin sulfate, keras Greek word, it means horns. Why? Because it is mainly present in cartilage, cornea, connective tissue, etc. And remember, keratin sulfate does not have any uronic acid structure in its structure. It consists of repeating galactose N-acetyl glucosamine and galactose unit. It is first isolated from cornea, specifically the keratin sulfate 1, and keratin sulfate 2 is first isolated from the cartilage. So the main role of keratin sulfate, specifically keratin sulfate 1, is that it keeps the cornea transparent. So this is all about the functions of glycosaminoglycans. Now mucopolysaccharidosis. This is an inborn error of metabolism associated with the defect in the synthesis of mucopolysaccharides. A mutation in a gene encoding a lysosomal hydrolase involved in degradation of glycosaminoglycan and defective lysosomal hydrolase enzyme. It leads to accumulation of substrates like glycosaminoglycans in various tissues. Specifically, where does it located? Liver, spleen, bone, skin, CNS, etc. The common clinical manifestation of mucopolysaccharidosis, mainly it affects the organs, central nervous system, skeletal system, eyes and other systems like liver, etc. Liver, heart, then lung also. Central nervous system, mainly those are having mucopolysaccharidosis, cognitive impairment, behavioral problems, sometimes the mental retardation, all those things. Then skeletal system, cause facial features. Then eyes, corneal opacity, retinopathy and glaucoma. Other systems, mainly it can lead to hepatosplenomegaly due to the accumulation of mucopolysaccharides, heart diseases, reduced lung function and hearing loss. Now the classification of mucopolysaccharidosis, around 6 to 7 types are there, but at least you try to learn 3 types and remaining try to understand the name. So MPS 1 to 6 are there. MPS 1, that is an autosomal recessive disease known as Hurler's syndrome. Here the deficiency is L-iduronidase enzyme. So mental retardation, skeletal changes, that means it leads to dwarfing, corneal clouding, hearing loss. These are the symptoms of Hurler syndrome. Deposition of MPS in coronary artery can lead to ischemia and early death. Coarse facial features also can be there. So the lab diagnosis is that presence of urinary mucopolysaccharides, specifically dermatan sulfate and heparin sulfate. This is all about Hurler's syndrome. Then MPS 2, which is an X-linked disease, it is known as Hunter's disease, Hunter's syndrome. Here the deficiency of enzyme is iduronic acid sulfatase enzyme. The symptoms are skeletal changes, mental retardation, hepatosplenomegaly, hearing loss, but there is no corneal clouding here. The lab diagnosis is presence of urinary mucopolysaccharides, dermatan sulfate and heparin sulfate. Mucopolysaccharidosis 3, that is an autosomal recessive disease. Disease is known as Sanfilippo syndrome due to deficiency of sulfamidase enzyme and also beta N-acetyl glucosaminidase and acetyl transferase enzyme. So severe mental retardation is the characteristic feature of Sanfilippo syndrome. Hearing loss will be there and presence of urinary mucopolysaccharides like heparin sulfate is the identification of Sanfilippo syndrome. Other types are Morquio syndrome, Shih syndrome, Maroteaux-Lamy syndrome, Sly syndrome, etc. You can just read out all those things. Try to learn the first 3 mucopolysaccharidosis. Now proteoglycans. What is the meaning of proteoglycans? Proteoglycans are nothing actually. It is the composition of glycosaminoglycans, presence of negatively charged sulfate group and carboxylic group. It helps to bind with the core proteins present in the extracellular matrix, and that leads to proteoglycans. If the presence of carbohydrate is greater than 10%, that is known as mucoprotein, and if the carbohydrate is present less than 10%, that is known as glycoprotein. So proteoglycans itself divided into mucoproteins and glycoproteins. So glycoproteins, proteins conjugated to saccharides lacking a serial eating unit. Here the protein content is more than that of carbohydrate. Usually less than 10% carbohydrate is present in glycoprotein. Then proteoglycans, proteins conjugated to polysaccharide with the serial repeating units, glycosaminoglycans and mucopolysaccharides. Here the carbohydrate amount is greater than that of protein. Carbohydrate usually more than 10%. So the functions of glycoproteins are glycoproteins seen in almost all the tissues and cell membranes in human body. Almost all the plasma proteins are glycoprotein except albumin. And other functions, it has glycoproteins act as enzymes, then hormonal function, transport proteins specifically transferrin and ceruloplasmin, and structural proteins, receptors and antibodies. Other function, it is part of integral bound glycoproteins and membrane bound glycoproteins, and it has some role in cell surface recognition and cell surface antigenicity. That means it is present in blood group antigen and cell adhesion. Then other functions like glycoprotein serves as lubricants and protective agents, and also it helps to stabilize proteins against the denaturation. Then it facilitates its stability. So these are the examples for glycoproteins, like collagen. It is a structural component of extracellular matrix. Then hydrolases, proteases, glycosidases. All these are example for enzymes as glycoprotein. Then ceruloplasmin. Ceruloplasmin is a transport protein. Then immunoglobulin, a glycoprotein having defense against infection. Then synovial glycoprotein, it mainly helps for the lubrication. Then thyrotropin, erythritropin, these are the hormones. Then blood group substances, antigens. Then fibronectin, laminin, cell recognition and adhesion. Intrinsic factor, absorption of vitamin B12. Then fibrinogen, help for the blood clotting. This is all about heteropolysaccharides. So if you please be thorough with the glycosaminoglycans or mucopolysaccharides, you have to know, you have to define it, you have to understand the classification, how does it classify it, what are the properties, what are the various types, what are the functions and the structural component of each glycosaminoglycans. Thank you all.